And we are live. Welcome, Mystery and Thriller Mavens. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome tonight my fellow historical loving thriller girl, L.A. Chandlar, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book out now, The Hindenburg Spy. Laurie, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you so much for having me. I love this book. This is the fourth in the series, but it can be read as a standalone. And I love a good high concept novel. And I knew in the time period, the Hindenburg crash was going to happen in my series, but I wanted to stick my protagonist right on it. So the gangsters are at war and they get word that there's something big threat going down in the city. And they heard the words Hindenburg hit. And my protagonist, aide Fiorello La Guardia, our famous mayor, is one of the people who knows the possible villains the best. And so we had to get her right on the Hindenburg and try to thwart a plot that could actually end in a global catastrophe.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know I have so many questions, and some questions were submitted in advance, and I know everyone's going to have a lot of questions as well. So first, I just want to welcome everyone. If this is your first time here, welcome. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured author, and you get to ask them anything. So ask LA, aka Laurie, anything you want about her research, about her book, her research, her craft, her writing style, the inside scoop, the Hindenburg, why this time, anything you want, get it going in the comments, and I will get it right over to her. Sharon is joining us from YouTube saying, hey girls. Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Sharon.
Welcome. So good to see you. Luann is joining us from YouTube as well, saying, hello, Laurie and everyone. Hi, Luann. We've got the Book Adventurer on Facebook saying, hi, Laurie. So glad Lane is back. Yay. Welcome, Book Adventurer. Gordana is joining us from Facebook live from Orlando saying, so happy to be here. Arlie says she can't wait to read it, also from Facebook. And Safe is also joining us saying, can't wait to read this. I love the series so far. Bronx is joining us from YouTube, and she has the Bronx 51 is joining us from YouTube. She has a question. How was your start as a writer? Yeah, Laurie, how did you get your start as a writer? I don't even know.
Well, I've always been a big reader, and I just love good books ever since I was a little kid. I actually got the idea for this series when we moved to New York right at 9/11. We were actually flying here on 9/11, and we ended up getting stuck in Detroit, but we moved 2 weeks later. And let me tell you, getting a moving van into Manhattan 2 weeks after 9/11 was something else. We got tight with the FBI. And but I really noticed something about the city. They had this incredible spirit of, it was difficult and hard and broken. At the same time, the art was taking off. People had this camaraderie. Comedians were doing wonderful sets because we needed that goodness of humanity again. And I happened to pick up a biography about Fiorello La Guardia, who was a 3-time mayor in the Depression era. And I'm not even a huge biography person, but I think it was really kismet that I just picked this book up. And I saw such similarities to this time of the Depression. And I saw completely different side to it than I ever expected. Fiorello is hilarious. He's an absolute spitfire, double minority, Italian and Jewish, 5'2", and yet an absolute firecracker and hilarious. Women were doing amazing things in the workforce way before World War II. And there was this thriving spirit. And I was like, this beauty out of adversity is something I really want to write about. And I got this idea of a cast of characters. And so my protagonist is LaGuardia's aide. And I wanted to show that side of the story. And yeah, that's how I got started. I started writing slowly in like small bits at a time because it was overwhelming thinking about writing a novel. I'd only written, short stories and some articles and things up to that point. But I kind of had to take some time to figure out, how can I write something at that length, that many thousands of words, and still being busy with life and everything. But I started doing it slowly and I continued with it, and it brought me so much life. I just kept going, and I love it.
Oh my God. Well, I am loving the backstory on this. CJ is joining us from YouTube saying, your writing is excellent. I can't wait to read this one. I am tuning in from Michigan. Hey, Michigan. Good to have you, CJ. Bonnie saying, I am so excited about this new book. Bonnie, welcome to the conversation. Gregory, also from YouTube, saying, I can't wait. Kay, also from YouTube, saying, hi from Indy. Hi, Kay. Welcome to the conversation. Welcome, everybody. Meredith from Facebook saying, hello from Long Island. Hey, Long Island. Good to have you here. Andrea is joining us from Troy, Michigan via Facebook. Hi, Andrea. Robin is here from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Hi, Robin. So good to have you. Jennifer from Rochester, Michigan. Hi, Jennifer. The crew review says we are here and we're huge fans of Laurie. You're in the right place. Welcome to the conversation. CJ says, I love how Laurie, puts a twist on history. Let's pause there. Laurie, how do you put a twist on history? Because I'm going to be honest, I write historical, but I write in the 1920s. I could not have told you that Fiorello was the mayor in 1930. I don't know squat about the 30s. So let's talk about first your research into history and then how you, as CJ so rightly said, put a twist on L.A. Chandler twist on it.
Well, I love having actual true crime in a lot of my stories. And one of the things I love about history is I feel like it can get really pigeonholed into being very textbook and sterile when we're reading in classes and whatnot. And I feel like historical fiction really gives you a sense of place and time, the fabric of your time period, what it really felt like to be there and what was happening at the same time. So I love to bring in cameos of variety of people from famous to infamous. And I love getting that feel of what was going on at the same time. And that's a lot of the twist I love to take is you don't realize what else was happening at the same time or bringing things to light, people to light that maybe took a step back that the history books talked about somebody else. And so a lot of my famous cameos are just that. Like one of my top favorites is Eunice Carter. She is the first Black woman prosecutor in New York, and she is famous for taking down one of the biggest gangsters, Lucky Luciano. And Thomas Dewey had got more of the highlight for it, even though he was totally behind her. It was her idea to take him down via a prostitution racket. Nobody had done that before. We'd only gotten gangsters by tax evasion at that point. But Thomas Dewey said, go for it. And she did. She did all the work. And I can tell you right now, I have friends who are prosecutors in the city and they know all about her. She has an amazing plaque right at 100 Center Street where we do all our jury duty. And she's a big deal. And I love bringing characters like that to the front, you know?
Laurie, we lost you there. You froze. Can you just give us the end of that again one more time?
Sure. I just love bringing characters to the forefront like that who might not get all of the limelight. And so she was a very famous character, a person for law in the city even today.
Wow. So she is brand new to me. And what is fascinating is Lucky Luciano got his start under Arnold Rothstein, who makes an appearance in my book, Broadway Butterfly, because he owns Dot King's apartment building where he's money laundering. And so I love that you're a person in your book in the subsequent decade took down a gangster in my book, Laurie. That's so fun. Cowgirl Colt, welcome to the conversation from YouTube. Hey, Melinda from Troy, Michigan, also from YouTube. So good to have you here. So good to have everyone. Jim, welcome to the conversation from Minneapolis. The Bronx is 51 saying, I am proud to say I knew you when. Isn't it fun you get to say you knew someone when? Andrea joining us from Facebook saying hello. Rosetta says she's a fan of the Art Deco series. The Hindenburg Spy is a rollicking edition. I love the use of the word rollicking. Thank you, Rosetta. Nice. Judy from Bothell, Washington. Welcome, Judy, with an I. Thanks for joining us. Luann says, I finished this book the other day. I'm so excited to read about Lane, her friends, and all the exciting things happening in New York City. John is joining us from Northeast Ohio. Hey, John, good to have you. Laurie, let's talk about Lane as a character. So first of all, for those, and we have some mavens here with us who have been with you through all of your Lane books. Some are meeting you right now. I imagine that the challenge of writing a series would be that you, for the OGs, the people who've been with you since book one, you've got to keep developing Lane and you have to keep finding new things for her as a character to grow and evolve and explore and do. But for people who may be meeting her for the first time, they're like, wait, I didn't know that. How do you balance that as a writer?
That's a great question. It's hard because also I think sometimes readers know the characters even better than you do sometimes because you're busy creating them. And so you're thinking 10 steps behind and 10,000 steps forward. And so I try to balance. I really love characters. And so that part is an easy part for me in the sense of I love it when characters connect and when they grow together. And even really good books that are well written, wonderful books, if they have a wonderful plot, it gets me to turn the page. But the character development is what makes me care. And so I really try to balance. I reread some of the old books over and over again, getting caught up to speed, taking lots of notes, remembering, where we left off with this. And this book actually I tie up a lot of some of the backstories of some of the side characters that are my favorites too, which is lots of fun. I love developing those kinds of characters too, going back in time to hear old flames of Lane's mother and things like that are really, really enjoyable.
So, Laurie, tell us, you just said a moment ago that you love bringing in cameos of famous people. Now, I know my favorite cameo is, I know who my favorite cameo is, Josephine Baker.
Of course. How could it not be?
Well, you can't have the same one as me, Laurie. Stop copying me.
Yes.
Who's your favorite besides Josephine Baker?
Well, she was a delight to write about, of course, because she's so flamboyant and interesting. And I really wanted to highlight her. She's going to become, in real life, a spy in World War II as part of the resistance. So,
which she was in real life.
Yes, I mean, in real life, we know she's going to do that, because this is before World War II. So I thought, given that, she would be so much fun to meet with Lane to give her tips on being a spy, which is a blast. But I think one of my other favorites is I love, Eunice Carter, of course, as well. But I usually have an art form in the background of all of my books, and jazz is this one. And so I loved bringing into play cameos of Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday and Smack Henderson, and but also the places that they were at. Like the Savoy was this huge dance room that was just a blast, and it was one of the first big integrated dance halls. And what I loved about it, I mean, it held I think it was 4,000 people. It was just mammoth. And I have that in a few of my books. But what I love about it is it didn't matter if you're uptown, downtown, black, white, rich, not rich, whatever. It mattered if you could dance. That's what everybody was looking at. They were looking at the footwork. And now you can see pictures of that. And I adore all of that. And I feel like it's such a good representation of how art brings people together. And so I love all that. I even have a scene at a famous jazz place called the Onyx that was on Swing Street, which got big in the 20s when they were all speakeasies. And that was on 52nd between 6th and something. And I have a scene there with Billie Holiday, and it's, she's just starting out at the time. So all of that is so interesting and so much fun to bring in real people who made a difference in our world and made it a better place. So
oh, I love that. Marcia, welcome to the conversation, joining us from Facebook, saying, it is so well done. I feel like I'm there. Oh, that is high praise, Marcia. Thank you. Andrea saying, absolutely love the jazz references in this book. Oh, yay, Laurie, you're slaying. Karen saying, hello from Chicago. I have loved all of L.A. Chandler's books. Yay. I'm so happy you're in the right place, Karen. Nice. Gregory saying, the speakeasies. So, Laurie, I learned in the course of my research that there are two still continuously functioning speakeasies in New York City since the 1920s. How much time have you been researching in speakeasies? How many times can we find you there, Laurie?
I had to suffer for the cause, It's a burden I bear. I've been to a lot of speakeasies. There's one that used to be at the Flute in Midtown. It was a champagne bar. And they used to have, right when my first books came out, a night that was once a month where you had to dress in the era of the 20s or 30s in order to even get in. It was called the Wits End. And they had live music, and there were all these white coffee mugs with all the fancy cocktails of back then. And I'm telling you, it was like Midnight in Paris, that movie. You walked in and it felt like you were walking back in time. And I think that's where I hope that's what my books do too. It gives us a chance to get back in time. And that's why the music was so much fun to write about in this book too, because I feel like that really gives you the ambiance, of all that all that was happening. And jazz was so important to the world, so much about identity and newness. I even have a reference to chicken and waffles in Harlem.
Oh my God, I love that you went down to so that is historically accurate, the chicken and waffle. Who knew?
Well, Supper Club. Yeah, they had it. And it actually came out of the jazz world, because this Wells, he had a diner, and then a lot of the jazz guys would end up there at night, and it was always that hit between dinner and breakfast the next day. And so they liked chicken and biscuits, and they made great ones. And he's like, I got leftover waffles, and so they wanted to kick that up a notch, and then everybody loved it, of course. So I get Lane to try it, and she's a big foodie. So
again, the burdens you have borne in the name of research.
I know. It's a lot, but I try.
Rosetta Stone saying, outbursts from the seventh decade loves when Lane gets in and out of mischief. The dance with Josephine Baker was a game of chess. Robin saying, Laurie, a faithful reader fan can become a great source of your book series facts. With today's technology, you might be about to find facts fast, though. So let's talk about, going into a place in person. I feel like is always going to yield a richer, more layered, more nuanced, more, textured experience than Googling. But where do you find the balance, Laurie?
All of the above. I tried to get a wide variety of things. So I do love technology, of being able to look up things and fast questions maybe that you wouldn't have thought of, because you can go down those alleys really fast. And then I love first references, though. I have a great book that I love that was basically a tour guide book called New York City of Cities by Hulbert Footner. And it's a tour guide book, but it's the size of a big novel. And he didn't just go to all the tourist places. He went to places like Night Court, where Fiorello La Guardia was holding court. And then he went to one of the detectives' precincts, and he learned all these little facts that I was like, you would never be able to find these little weird, cool facts about life. And magazines too are wonderful, because it gives you an insight into daily life that you really can't find necessarily online. Like Life magazine came out right when my books were coming out, and I have a copy of the first copy that came out in 36 in November, and the ads are spectacular. My favorite is all the cigarette ads. They were like, smoked Camels for Thanksgiving dinner, aids digestion.
Perfect. I'm always up for new digestion tips. But it's so interesting that you should say that, because I actually, when I was interviewing a professor at Boston College who specializes about the newspaper reporting and perception of crime in the 1920s and police brutality. And he said to me, and I was, I had my list of questions, and the professor said, Sara, you're not just looking at the articles, are you? I'm like, yeah, I'm highlighting, I'm printing. And he was like, no, you got to look at the ads, because the ads tell you what people cared about, what they were worried about, what they, were interested in. And it's so funny because, some of the companies have stayed. Maybelline, Wrigley's Chewing Gum, so many companies are the same, and women cared about having long, lustrous hair. People had digestion issues. But then some of the things didn't age well, like, oh, your tummy hurts, take a teaspoon of mercury. It's like,
right.
No, I want to stay alive.
Yeah. It's so true.
So Allison wants to know, welcome to the conversation, Allison. She wants to know, how do you decide where each book will be based? I love all of your books too. Yay.
Nice. Well, I go with what I've been doing research on, and sometimes something really piques my curiosity. So all of the mysteries are based in New York, but I always take the characters on what I call field trips. So the first book, The Silver Gun, it was all in New York, but the second one, The Gold Pawn, I take him to Detroit for a while. And that's because Lane's family comes from there. And I do too. So I wanted to bring in Rochester, Michigan, and Detroit into play. Some really great history there. And The Pearl Dagger, I take him to London. And then this one, because I had to get to the Hindenburg, it actually gave a lot of travel opportunities. So I take her, end up through going on the Normandy to France, and then that's where she stops off in Paris on her way to Frankfurt. And so that actually was interesting too, because she gets a glimpse of 1937 spring Germany. And that's very interesting because the Hindenburg was definitely a Nazi propaganda tool and a feat of engineering. It's very interesting. It's the size of a cruise ship. It is not what the Goodyear blimp is. It was much bigger and much more elegant on the inside. It's the size of 3 747s in a row. It was massive. And so that's why it really was more like a cruise ship on the inside. But getting back to Allison's question, I had to get her to Frankfurt. And I knew she couldn't cross from France into Germany without taking that into consideration and the feel of Germany at the time. And it definitely highlights what's coming down the pike. Mm-hmm.
Great question, Allison. Thank you. CJ said, laughing with us at Laurie having to suffer for the cause. Thank you for what you do for your readers. It certainly does take us there. Thank you, CJ, for that. Emily joining us from Facebook saying, yay, we're so happy to have you, Emily. Welcome to the conversation. Robin saying, I can't believe I've never had chicken and waffles. I haven't either, Robin. Let's make a book and waffles date. Kelly joining us from Facebook saying, I'm still waiting for a field trip to Kansas City, Missouri. Are we going to see Lane going to Kansas City, Missouri anytime soon, Kelly?
Well, I think that would be a great idea. There's some really interesting stuff there from Prohibition. It's shocking. I have a few artist friends that live there, and it's really interesting. So maybe Kelly.
I am proud to say I've been to Kansas City, Missouri in my corporate career. I went there to supervise a photo shoot of setting things on fire for one of our ad campaigns. So I spent a lot of time in Kansas City, Missouri supervising fire, which worked well for me because I like fire. Oh my goodness. Okay, you guys, I want to say we have so much love in the room for Laurie and her wonderful work. And you can get your mitts on the Hindenburg Spy out now and order from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, here is that link, and you can click and order now and get your mitts on the adventures of the latest adventures of Lane and all of the incredible, juicy things that we have been talking about. And you can support this wonderful independent woman-owned bookstore. So here is that link, and I hope you will join me in ordering. Meanwhile, we have a question from Robin saying, was it mercurochrome or methylate that was the favorite orange scrape cure our moms would coat our scraped knees? Ooh, good one.
My mom definitely did mercurochrome.
When you had that weird orange stain. Yeah, exactly. Kelly's saying, her mom did methylate. She cried before it was applied. Yeah, you knew you better brace. However much the cut was hurting, whatever, that something worse was coming when you saw that bottle come out from the medicine cabinet.
So true.
Robin wants to know, we have questions coming at once. How do we survive mercury poisoning? It is a miracle. My husband and I were talking about how in his science class, they used to push the balls of mercury around on their desk with their bare little hands. CJ wants to know, will there be a book signing? So Laurie, give us the scoop.
Yes, I have one coming up in Jersey City next month, and then there will be one in Manhattan soon too, and then I am coming to Michigan for sure. I don't know if it'll be in January or I have a library event in Michigan. I know CJ's in Michigan in May, but I'm doing a whole lecture on jazz, Josephine Baker, and the Hindenburg, so you get to see pictures and videos of all the stuff. So yes, there will be, and I'll be putting it on Facebook of the different events coming up.
And for those of us who are not in those specific locations, Murder by the Book ships anywhere. And I have very cool mystery and thriller Maven branded book plates. So see above that very cool woman in profile that was hand drawn by my friend who is an artist. I have that on a book plate. Very cool, very vintage, very noir, very mysterious. And for anyone who orders through Murder by the Book, and here is that link, DM me or email me your receipt. I am on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I do it all, and I will get Laurie to sign them, and then she will mail those to you. So again, here is the link, and anyone who orders from Murder by the Book, which is our partner in crime, our beloved woman-owned independent bookstore, DM Laurie or me your receipt from ordering from Order by the Book, and we will get you a signed and personalized, and Laurie will write something very mysterious.
Absolutely.
Renee wants to know, how about Florida? You heading to Florida, Laurie?
I am actually. I will probably be there in March. Yeah.
Okay.
And both the Naples area and possibly the Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area.
Okay, if that's anywhere near you, Renee, we have a Maven's mission. If an author goes to a place where one of the Mavens was watching, you take a selfie with that author and you upload it to the Mystery and Thriller Mavens Facebook group, and we all celebrate you. So challenge, Gauntlet Cast challenge. Will you accept the challenge, Renee Herskowitz? Luann says, "Oh, yippee, I can't wait to see you in Rochester." Dee wants to know, will you be signing in the Indianapolis area?
Actually, yes. And that will be the beginning of February. And I am supposed to hear back from both the library and another book place this week. It's exciting having a book launch right at Christmas. It's a little tricky to get all the dates ready for everybody's getting back into the new year. But yes, definitely Indianapolis, the first week of February. And definitely stay tuned on my Facebook page, Instagram. I'll update for sure.
Misty says she is so excited. Misty, welcome to the conversation. Kay saying her mom was a nurse and she had the stained methylate. Kay, welcome to the question. You're in good company. I think we were all bearing those orange stains. Andrew says she can't wait to see you again to get her book signed. Renee says she's going to try to make it to Florida. Thank you, Laurie and Sara. Robin saying we all play with balls of mercury. It is a miracle we're all alive today.
Agree.
Cindy's joining us from YouTube saying historical fiction is a fave. Cindy, you're in the right place. This is the right time. Historical fiction girlies here as well. Jeffrey, welcome to the conversation from Facebook, wants to know, do you do anything special to make sure that the language you use is appropriate for the time? What a great question for the time period.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I do modern up the language somewhat in that I personally can't handle a whole lot of slang. My mind starts to get like that time period has a lot of slang, the 20s and 30s. And I can put in a few, but sometimes I've read books that there's so many that I find myself looking up them constantly. So I try to blend a little bit obviously you can't have modern language, but I also put in flavors of the history. But you also have to look up a lot of stuff. Like it's funny what comes up, like that you're always wondering, wait, when did that actually happen? When did that start? Because I wanted some event in one of the first books and someone saved somebody else. And our natural thing in this situation would be to do a high five. But I knew the high fives weren't around then, but I couldn't remember exactly when it started. And it really wasn't until the 70s in basketball. So you have to tweak that and make sure, okay, what else could you do? So yeah, that is tricky. And I think the language, like I said, I like to have a flavor for it and obviously don't use very modern terms. That would be definitely take you out of reading. And so, yeah, I try to blend it and then use some slang for flavor.
Jeffrey, what a thoughtful, great question. And I am, riddled with anxiety and OCD. So I am a huge stickler and I won't use anything past the date, even within a year. So I had found, the etymology, which is the study of the origin of language and words, I am exacting to the actual year of use. And the way that I do that is I search for the word in my newspapers.com account. And if it wasn't used before the year I'm writing, I won't use it. And so even in my last book, I used a word that I thought was in use in 1923, but it turns out it was not in use in 1929, and I cut it. But that is, I'm giving you a sneak peek into the precise level of my obsession and my OCD.
What kind of words though are you looking at? Like slang words or like
every word?
What would make you think to look up a word? I mean, there's obvious ones that are new ones slang is obvious, modern slang, or even how you phrase something. So what are some of the things that you would look up?
Like every single, at this point, 12 years in, I have a pretty good sense of what was in use and what wasn't. But if I wasn't sure, I look it up. And I also hired an etymologist. Or my publisher hired an etymologist. So it was at that level. But I'm really letting you guys into the precise levels of my OCD now. So but it's also interesting because for people who write in like the 1700s, they're talking about thee and thou. For me, that's like, I don't write then, but that would be tough because you're really slowing the pace down.
I think that
So,
is the bottom line, is what leaves you in the story and what takes
yeah,
you out of the story. And I think that's
exactly.
what I was going with the slang is, for me personally, it's more taste level too, not
Yeah,
right or wrong. As in, for me, I get too preoccupied with figuring out what a saying means, and then suddenly I can't find my way
right,
in the book. So for me, I
right.
want to write to make sure that the readers stay in the pocket of
Yes,
the story.
yes. I was talking to a reader the other day who writes in the 1700s, and she was saying that you wouldn't guess it, but the name, I can't remember, I think it was Brittany and Allison, sound very modern, but actually they were in existence in the
Mhm.
1400s. And so she was like, but I cannot use them because it sounds like Britney Spears or, you know,
Right.
and so even though they are historically accurate, people would be distracted by that. And it would be like, that doesn't sound like it was in the 1700s or the 1400s or whatever the time period was. I'm now
Mhm.
forgetting. But it's like, if it takes the reader out of it, where then they have to go look it up and now they're distracted, it's like, that's not going to work. So she has to use, something more, merry or historic that doesn't create a speed bump for the writer,
Yeah, speed
the
bumps is
reader,
the
excuse
right
me.
word. Yeah, totally. Makes sense.
Emily, welcome to the conversation. Saying, or I'm sorry, Emily, you already commented. She says she can't wait to read the new book and support. Oh, I love that. Oh, Emily, how lovely. Renee says, yay, East Coast, South Florida. Missy saying, how fun is this? Kay saying, hooray for the book signing in Indianapolis. Robin saying, Renee, I challenge you. Renee, I did challenge you. Get that selfie going when you see Laurie in Florida. Yes. And you will be announcing where and when on your website and social media. Misty saying the books are so incredibly engrossing from Laurie. I totally forgot to make dinner last night because just one chapter. Okay, we need to put that on the cover of the book right there. That's your blurb.
That's the
Misty,
blurb.
so good I forgot to make dinner. Misty Simon. That's the kind of blurb you need.
That's right.
Jennifer, welcome to the conversation saying, I love these books. How do you do all of your research? Yeah, so you're at the computer. Are we talking spreadsheets? Are we talking notebooks?
Yeah,
Beautiful mind post-its? Like, what's going on?
all of the things. And I do use, I take a lot of notes, and I do use post-it notes all over the place because I also can get sidetracked with things too, where you realize, oh, I need to look that up. And then you must write it down. Otherwise you will forget it. So I use mostly, I tried to use those first source books, and I try to use the magazines for that kind of content. And I definitely use the internet though I try to use sites that, of course, that are more, reliable and historic, and I really check out what those sites are. And then I do keep track of all of the different questions that I'm looking for and answering, and who was around where. I even had to look up Josephine Baker. I mean, you can always take some artistic license, especially with cameos, because you're wanting to do a bigger point, but I wanted to make sure she really was in Paris at the same time. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, and she was, she had been in New York to do the Ziegfeld Follies the year before, but I had to see when she was actually going back to Paris. And so, because I was a little worried about that, but yeah. And I really looked up her, she has a few different books, Josephine Baker. And there's one that I took the whole scene. I can't remember which. I have like 3 of her books now, but it was one of the more recent ones that have a whole scene at Chez Josephine. And so I, to a T, talk about her dress that she often wore at that one, to the whole ambiance there, all the mirrors everywhere. And she was a trip and a half. Like, she had live animals in her show, and her social commentary by how she ran her club is fantastic. So really, really fun.
Oh my God, I live for this stuff. Susan, welcome to the conversation hello from South Georgia. So glad you're here, Susan. Renee wants to, that's right. It is your, I think we have some friends chatting. Susan, Robin is saying, it makes me absolutely cranky when gratuitous F-bombs are inserted in weird eras. And yes, I know it's been around for a while. Great point, Robin. Yeah, exactly. If it takes you out, you're like, that's not good.
Yeah.
Um,
One with a lot of authors too. Like, you have even swearing in general. There are some authors that don't want to have any swearing at all, but then you start going to what's authentic too, and you can go one the other way. You're like, well, my gangsters are probably not saying shoot and darn, so you have to but I agree. I don't like it when I like when things are accurate and they give the grit of the time, but without being gratuitous too. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm a foul-mouthed, sassy minx. I need to clean up my own language. Don, welcome to the conversation. Upper East Side in the house. Hey, Don, welcome to the conversation. So good to have you here. Oh my gosh, you guys, the questions are coming in like so much faster than I can even get to them. And we are actually out of time. Time flies when you're having this much fun. So I just want to remind you all again that our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, the legendary Murder by the Book, has Laurie's book, The Hindenburg Spy, for sale. And wherever you are watching with us, here is that link. And if you order through Murder by the Book and support this wonderful women-owned bookstore, I will get you a signed book plate, a mystery and thriller maven, very sexy book plate from the incredible LA Chandlar. And maybe she'll even like give us a footprint with her famous red high heels on them. We don't know. She's a sassy minx too. You guys, here is that link one more time. So please do let us know. And if you get the book and you want to continue the conversation, we have all the good chats. We spilled the tea in the Mystery and Thriller Maven's Facebook group, free and open to all. If you're not already a member, here is that link. I'm going to drop it in the chat. You guys, thank you so much for spending your Monday with me, your Mystery Monday. I hope your week is off to a killer start. May the days and the pages go by. And Laurie Chandlar, thank you so much for coming on to give us the inside scoop on the Hindenburg Spy, out now.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And that's a wrap for us. I will see you all next week.